that shit.
Welcome to Trash Talk MMA.
Smile on my face, behind my back, they talk trash.
The #1 podcast for news and insight that matters in the world of mixed martial arts. Brought to you live and unfiltered from all four corners of the globe by MMA aficionado Antoine Peltier.
Yo, and welcome to the Trash Talk MMA podcast. I'm your host, Antoine Peltier, and I'm joined once again by MMA Fighter Sam Bastin. And we're going to sit down here and talk about the recent events at UFC 184 from this past Saturday night. Sam, how you doing?
Good, Antoine. Thanks for having me back again for the third time now.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's some interesting fights to talk about today. Again with some of the fights that we had for UFC 184.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, of course, the big stories coming into UFC 184 was, of course, the title fight between women's bantamweight champion Ronda Rousey and #1 contender Cat Zingano. As we all know, shortly after that fight began, that fight was already over. Cat Zingano made a critical mistake in bum rushing Ronda Rousey, and Ronda Rousey made short work of her via straight armbar in 14 seconds. We'll get into the details of that in a second. The other main story of the night was the presence and the UFC debut of Holm in the co-main event, facing off against Raquel Pennington in what many believed was going to be a #1 contender fight. Holm won by split decision, but it didn't exactly, blow the roof off the place with her performance, so we'll want to delve into that a little deeper as well. So starting at the bottom, towards the middle of the preliminary card on Fox Sports 1, there was an interesting matchup that we really didn't delve into in our preview of the UFC 184 event on Friday. It was the contest between Tim Means and Diego Lima. Tim Means ended up winning this fight by TKO via punches and really put on an incredible striking display against Diego Lima. So I think Tim Means was definitely the favorite coming in, and he was looking to impress, and he certainly did. And he was rewarded for his efforts with a performance of the night bonus, which netted him another $50K. You didn't see this scrap, did you?
Yeah, I missed this one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to delve too much more on that fight. Tim Means definitely looked like a wrecking machine. He put on a great display of striking, and that victory is going to vault him up a few positions in the rankings, and we'll look forward to seeing him again. Next up, there was the fight that ended in a no contest between Kid Yamamoto and Roman Salazar. Sam, what'd you think?
It was actually a pretty decent fight until obviously the eye poke started happening. I think Salazar eye poked Yamamoto first, and then Yamamoto ended up eye poking him twice somehow. So I think this is definitely a big issue in the UFC. It does need to be dealt with, the eye pokes and the distance checking and things like that.
Have you ever personally been victim of an eye poke in a fight?
No, only in training. If it's in a fight like that can change the whole perspective of the fight. Just by a single eye poke can unbalance the whole fight. Yeah,
I think as outsiders looking in as fans, we can't begin to fathom the ramifications of groin shots and eye pokes.
Yeah, definitely.
None of us have. I mean, I've never been hit hard in the nuts in any context. I know a few chicks probably wanted to do it a few times, but I got away in time. Yeah, I mean, groin shots, even as Eddie Murphy used to say back in the day, just grazing are just brutal in the way that they'll creep up and drop you and leave you, render you completely incapacitated.
Oh, that's it. Grazing is definitely worse than taking a full hit.
Really. So same thing, have you taken groin shots, like hard groin shots in competition?
I've been hitting the nuts numerous amount of times during competition and sparring, and it's definitely not fun when someone puts all their power and weight into a big knee that's going to hit you in the chest and ends up hitting you in the beanbag. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you see some of those strikes, how they are grazing, and they'll show those replays during the UFC events, and people will look up at it, and when it's a big, powerful, direct strike, you hear everybody go, whoa, you hear the whole crowd get into it, people at home cringing. But so in your experience, the grazing ones are worse than the full-blown, just sock it to them? Fuck.
Grazing is much worse, but all the guys out there obviously know what it feels like to get grazed or hit in the nuts. It's not a very comfortable feeling.
Yeah, and then eye pokes. I mean, having your vision taken away or impaired in any capacity whatsoever, I just can't imagine, like I said, the ramifications that has in a fight. I think as fans, we see that and we're like, hey, you're able to take, head kicks and you can keep moving, but you take a little pinky finger in the eye. And it's just, it's not that it's a power shot. It's just that it's a debilitating one.
Definitely, it takes away one of your fifth senses, really. Without obviously a good sight, how are you going to perform well? So definitely takes it away from you. And with Salazar, when he obviously got hit, you could tell it was affecting him to the point of him not wanting to continue the fight as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I think either Rogan or Goldie said it on the broadcast. They pretty much saluted him for taking the safety, the ground of safety, and not continuing to fight. And I think it's important that these guys do that. If you can't see, you can't fight. Period.
That's it.
There's nothing about being tough there. It's just stupid.
You don't need to. You can't see. I understand that 100%. Definitely.
So definitely a disappointing return for Kid Yamamoto. He hadn't fought in years. He's now 1-5-0-1. I mean, it's just, what does Kid do at this point? I mean, what are they going to do? Try, I guess, set up a rematch of that fight that nobody really cared about in the first place? I mean, that's just a terrible way for him to make a return to the UFC after so long.
Yeah, I think what's he had now, almost 4 years off. Is that correct?
Something like that. I believe 2012 was the last time he fought.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's still almost 3 years. So.
Yeah, so I guess Kid Yamamoto has a lot of soul searching to do. I don't think there's going to be really anybody clamoring to see him in a professional fighter capacity anytime soon. And then hopefully Salazar hopefully his eye is going to be fine. He can come back, but it'll be interesting to see if they reschedule the fight. Maybe they could do it in the Philippines. Again, that could be something that if Salazar can come back and neither guy was hurt beyond that eye poke injury, maybe getting Yamamoto on an Asian card would be a good use of his. He still has some star power, in Asia. Yeah,
definitely. I think that would. It'd be a great fight to have on the card because obviously it's going to draw those fans towards that card.
Next up in the final preliminary card on Fox Sports 1, there was the match between perennial middleweight contender Mark Munoz and returning UFC fighter Roan Carneiro out of the American Top Team camp. Going into this fight, you made a good point. Munoz had continued to face top-level competition over the past few years, had struggled against it. Roan Carneiro left the UFC, put on a nice string of 7 wins against, what could be considered inferior competition. Carneiro showed up and put Munoz to sleep with a rear naked choke in 1 minute and 40 seconds. What happened there, Sam?
Honestly, Mark Munoz looked like it was his first couple of fights that he's ever had. He looked quite sloppy. He went for a really sloppy takedown. Carneiro ended up on his back quite easily. They didn't really have much of a tussle from there. And then Carneiro just slipped that arm in. And then next minute, Mark Munoz was asleep, out cold. Yeah, it was devastating to see someone go out like that. Because in my opinion, I thought Mark Munoz was going to put more of a fight on than this. And
yeah, it's now been 3 consecutive stoppages, 4 in his last 5 fights. Did Chris Weidman just break Munoz or what?
Well, I think so, because he has not looked anywhere close to. It's just been backward steps since then.
Yeah, I feel bad for Munoz. I almost feel like, we touched on this when we watched it live, that it's almost like Munoz was fed to the deep end of the UFC before he was ready, and he was kept there, and it's just been too much of an uphill struggle for him.
Yeah, and he just hasn't got back any of that momentum towards winning any of these fights.
All of those stoppages were in the first round. They were all quick, and he never put his adversaries in trouble. How does Munoz come back from this? What's his next step?
Well, what is he now? He's lost his last 3 in a row, and he's lost his.
Yeah, he's
lost 4 out of 5.
He's 1-4.
Yeah, and not looking too good. I mean, I can see the UFC actually letting go of him at this stage. I thought he would have more of an impact in this fight. Again, with Carneiro only fighting, what would you say, middle class competition compared to what Munoz has been coming up against.
Yeah, it's weird because when they take guys like that and they bump them to the top of the food chain, it's almost like you can't put them at guys underneath. It's like, you take a guy like Chuck Liddell, perhaps he could have had some more UFC fights, but they can't. They got to keep feeding him top dudes because they can't have him fight lower guys. And it's a shame. It just seems like, I don't know, maybe it's Munoz's management that's somewhat to blame. Maybe they felt that he was better than he was or better prepared to take on upper level competition like this. Again, you're a fighter. Do you have management? Who picks your fights? How do you feel about something like this?
I kind of had an average management back in the day, but with Mark Munoz's team and how everything's going at this stage, he might get maybe one opportunity before we see him out of the UFC. And I think maybe if they can chuck him back on this upcoming Filipino card, possibly, they could leave that in there for him to have a last opportunity.
Yeah,
that's
a good point.
A good competition for the Filipino fans to see as well, and give him one last shot.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't get, I don't recall, thinking back to the fight, I don't really believe that he took any major damage from strikes. It's like he got, the fight went to the ground quickly and he got put to sleep quickly. So, that's actually a pretty good suggestion. Maybe he can just get a bit of a gimme fight on the Philippines, just put him on the card to bring in some fans and hopefully get a win and then reassess from there. But otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC cut him. He came into the fight ranked number 13 in the middleweight division. He's on a string of brutal losses, and it's hard to imagine, where. It's almost like, dude, you just gotta just get out of there for a while, get out of the shark tank for a while, go into a smaller pond with smaller fish, get your confidence back, get some wins. Because when he's on, he's a pretty fun fighter to watch. He's had some cool fights, and I like Munoz, but to see him just get tooled like this, fight after fight after fight, it just there's something mental here that needs to be reevaluated. So in the opening bout of the pay-per-view, there was a great lightweight matchup between surging Tony Ferguson and the always durable Gleison Tebow at lightweight. Ferguson made short work of Tebow after surviving a bit of an early onslaught in the feet, landed that devastating punch, got the fight to the ground, and had Tebow tapping quickly.
Definitely sunk it in quick. I thought this was going to go more directed towards a decision. Both guys were coming in with three wins apiece. Very interesting matchup, but Tony Ferguson, put it all in there and finished the fight pretty quick with this submission rear naked choke.
I'm liking Ferguson, man. He really, really brings a dynamic energy to the octagon. He's 8-1. To stop a guy like Gleison Tebow, who's had 25 fights, who was on a 3-fight winning streak. We talked quite a bit about Tebow in our preview, and he got tooled, man. He got smashed really good and fast.
And Tebow's been around for a long time, as you said, 25 fights. He ties equal fourth for the most amount of fights in UFC history. So equal fourth, coming in with 25 fights. He has a lot of experience. And Tony Ferguson looked phenomenal against him and put him away quickly.
Yeah, I think that might have been a bit of a quick turnaround for Tebow. Don't quote me on when he was last in the cage, but I swear it wasn't long ago. I don't know if it was maybe 4 or 5, 6 weeks ago, but maybe he just came in, he was coasting off his last win, felt like he could take another fight on relatively short notice and maybe paid the price, maybe overtrained, maybe still had some lingering injuries. I don't know. Another
interesting fact that we were talking about the other day is Gleison Tebow. In the mix, he's always getting 2 or 3 wins, and then he'll get that loss. He's never breaking the top 10 section.
Yeah, he's just not getting those 4, 5, 6, like guys like Cerrone are getting. That really just put him in those positions where, yep, dude, you're a contender, and we want to see you take big fights. So with a 4-fight winning streak, 4 stoppages, Ferguson's looking to break into the rankings here at lightweight. Looking at everything between kind of 6 and 15, there's some interesting fights from in there. If he could get a scrap against Nate Diaz, I think that'd be a real test.
Interesting fight. You could see that fight as well going either way, and it would be a good test for Tony Ferguson to break into the top 10.
Yeah. Because Alan Quint is facing off against Jorge Masvidal. Those are the 13 and 14 guys. I believe Jim Miller already has a fight booked. Eddie Alvarez is scheduled up against Gilbert Melendez. After that, you got Bobby Green, Miles Jury, Edson Barbosa. Lots of great fights for Ferguson to test himself against. I mean, even against Barbosa, I think that'd be a fantastic. Or for Miles Jury.
Yeah, definitely. Miles Jury, Barbosa, definitely interesting fights either way.
Moving up to the next fight on the pay-per-view, we had Alan Jouban defeating Richard Walsh via KO from elbow and punches at welterweight. That was destruction, man. I mean, it was crazy how Walsh took those shots. He got dropped to them. His legs, it turned into noodles, and it's almost like Jouban lifted him back up, brought him back to consciousness, lifted him back up. It almost like, I think I said this live during the fight. It looked like they were rewinding the image of him going down.
It looked like it was in reverse.
It was in reverse, right? Crazy.
Again, this fight was one of my favourites to watch. Obviously, with Richie Walsh being Australian, I'm Australian as well, so I was rooting for him to win this fight. He came out, he looked strong. Both of these guys looked really strong against each other. Richie Walsh was pushing him against the cage out a few stages. Obviously, when it came to Jouban stepping in, breaking down the distance, landing that vicious elbow, definitely hit him straight on the temple, and from there it was, wobbly legs for Richie Walsh.
Yeah, so that leaves Jouban with 2 impressive KOs in the UFC. As we mentioned in the preview, this first one over Seth Basinski, he gets back in the win column with his KO over Richard Walsh. How does Walsh reassess?
I reckon they keep him around. It was a tough test for both of these guys. He's 1-2 in the UFC now, so I mean, there's no need to get rid of him this early. I think it was just a tough fight, a tough test. So definitely keep him around.
Just one of those cases where he got caught. I mean, the fight was competitive up until then, and we were all just watching it, and it just ended really suddenly.
Yeah, like that.
Next up on the card, there was an anticipated welterweight showdown between Jake Ellenberger and Josh Koscheck. Both men were coming off of 3 losses. A lot of their losses of late were really bad ones as well. Both of these men had a lot to prove. I wasn't nice with Jake Ellenberger coming into this on the previews. I really wanted Koscheck to win this fight. Ellenberger just wasn't, his juggernaut self. Obviously, he did something, between fights here, got his mind right, really came in, put it on Josh Koscheck, left him foaming at the mouth from a north-south choke at the 4:20 minute of round 2.
And that's Ellenberger was looking great coming in. Koscheck, I mean, he was dancing around, stepping backwards for almost 2 rounds, and he barely done anything the whole fight. He was just on the back foot pedaling, looking for an overhand right here and there, but nothing spectacular coming from him at all. I didn't see this fight going this way. I thought it was going to end in a decision, but Ellenberger put him away with that good north-south choke, so end of the night.
Yeah, I think, Koscheck felt the power early and wanted no part of it. Didn't have a game plan, didn't have a plan B once he got hurt, and it cost him pretty dearly. That was a pretty gnarly. He got blowed up. Like he got that was crazy. That shot where they brought the camera overhead and they're showing him, eyes wide shut, frothing at the mouth. I'm like, yeah. So where does that? Obviously, that gets Ellenberger back in the good books. He got a Performance of the Night award. Listen, I'm glad. Ellenberger has more legs left on him than Koscheck at this stage. Koscheck's 37. I think it was his 23rd UFC fight. I don't think we need to see Koscheck in the octagon anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's 4 straight losses. He's coming of age now as well, 37 years old. Obviously not making a massive impact with anyone at the moment, and he's had a tough couple of losses, but what does the UFC do with him now? That's the real question. Do they get rid of him? Do they keep him on?
No, but I mean, he's been doing some commentary. He's been doing some. I think he can keep working for the UFC. I think Koscheck has always been a company man. He's put on some fantastic fights. He progressed tremendously as a fighter. I think he's definitely one of those poster boys for what a contestant on The Ultimate Fighter can become in the UFC. Come on, he was a number 1 contender. Yeah. He fought GSP twice.
Yeah,
that's no joke. He fought the best dude in the world twice and was competitive both times. So I think I salute Josh Koscheck. I've always been. I wasn't always a fan. I was a fan once he started knocking dudes out and stepping up his game. I mean, even last night, it was not like he was looking for a way out. He was still in there trying to compete. Yeah. He's tough as nails. And, he was tapping in thin air there. That's how bad that choke was, So, I think if that's the last we see of Josh Koscheck, I'm fine with it. I don't want to see him, get booted from the org and go fight in freaking Bellator or something.
No, that's it.
Above that.
They should still keep him around the organization. He does a great job talking with a.
Yeah, he's good with the commentary.
So they can still keep him around. He still has a job and a place with the UFC, so he should stay here.
And listen, I'm sure, as a coach, as a trainer, the guy's got a crazy pedigree. Any fighter would love to, get some training in through Koscheck and to get some of his insight as an incredible veteran UFC performer. So moving our way into the co-main event of the night, we had the highly touted debut of boxing legend Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington in a women's bantamweight fight that, was mentioned to be, if Holm would have pulled off a devastating performance, she would have been in talks to take on the winner of the main event from Saturday night. I wasn't impressed with Holly Holm. It was point boxing. She's the one who got knocked down.
Yeah, it looked like honestly looked like a point sparring match with how Holly Holm was using her boxing. And the thing interesting about this is Holly Holm's got a very big credential boxing background, 33, 2-1 as a professional boxer, multiple world champion. Pennington looked okay in the last round, but Holly Holm obviously could have done so much more with her boxing and just, coasted towards an easy win, really, in my opinion.
Kudos to Holm for stepping, she wasn't slated to be in a co-main event slot, but listen, she knows that the bright lights are on her. She's been in the bright lights in boxing. Yeah, I think she needed to pour it on. She needed to really show that she's got stand-up that could threaten the champ. I don't want to see her get a title shot until she gets at least 2 more devastating UFC victories.
I agree with you 100%. Pennington looked great, I thought.
Yep.
Even though she lost this fight, I thought she came back real strong in the third round. Actually won the third round, knocking Holm down.
Yep.
I think she looked tough, and that's what Pennington's good for. She's a bit of a bulldozer fighter, and she was coming forward and she was trying. So yeah, props to her.
Yeah, and it was a split decision. Anytime that a split decision goes down, it's just 2 out of 3 that they gave it to Holm, So somebody, the other judge thought that Pennington took it. And, on any given night, those judges, you never know what they're going to come up with. It could have gone Pennington's way. But ultimately, Holm did win the first 2 rounds. I'll give her that.
Yeah.
But, anticipation for her next fight is probably not going to be that high.
Yeah, that's it. Who's she going to go up against next? Have they said anything yet?
I'm sure they got to just fall back to the drawing board there. I'm sure they'll give her some top flight competition, but hey, give her Miesha Tate. Let's see what happens, right?
Definitely.
You got the win, okay? Well, give her Miesha Tate. Let's see how your boxing stand up fares against in a real MMA fight against a real killer. Last but certainly not least, this brings us to the main event, the women's bantamweight contest for the belt between Ronda Rousey and Cat Zingano. Cat Zingano, in my opinion, that was just a brain fart from hell, dude. I saw her charge out, close the distance with a sloppy flying knee. The fight went down to the ground. Rousey grabbed her arm, twisted it back in all sorts of gnarly ways, and got the tap in 14 seconds. It seemed like 6 or 7 at the time.
Yeah, that fight was over. If you blinked, you honestly missed it. I was expecting, as a lot of people were expecting, Cat Zingano to do a lot more in this fight. I was hoping she was going to stick with the stand-up because I honestly thought that's where her game could be against Ronda. But I don't know what she was doing trying to get Ronda down straight away. Faulty error there. Yeah,
coming from a highly touted, undefeated, in what people were describing as the biggest threat to Ronda Rousey's title, Cat Zingano just fucked up monumentally. I can't even imagine, the thought going through her, through her head in the cage, and we saw, as Rogan interviewed her, she was just an emotional mess.
Yeah.
As any of us would have been if we would have made a mistake of those proportions, given what was at stake. Yeah, she wanted a rematch. I'm pretty sure she's gonna have to go back and get a few more wins before that happens, because we all thought that Rousey's victory in 16 seconds over Alexa Davis was monumental, and she even beat that record by 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think now that's the record for a title fight being stopped the quickest in history. For title fights.
That is I believe that's what they posted up on the screen at the time that it happened, that it is a UFC record for the fastest victory in a UFC title fight. And I'm assuming that the 16 seconds before must have already been. So, I mean, Ronda's breaking her own records here. It's just, it's bonkers.
It's crazy. Ronda Rousey is mental. She's an absolute machine. And at this stage, I see absolutely no one getting near or close to defeating her.
So on that note, we can roll back to Invicta FC 11, where, Chris Cyborg, reigning Invicta featherweight champion, made short work out of Charmaine Tweed in like 46 seconds, demolished her. I mean, that's the only fight that's left. It's the only fight that's left.
It has to happen.
It just has to happen.
The UFC have to grab her, bring her in, and even if she has maybe one fight before she does fight Rousey, just to lead into the UFC, and obviously not just feeding her straight to Rousey straight away, but for Cyborg to drop that weight, get a fight, see how she goes from there. Definitely interesting matchup, and needs to be done, because that's all that's left for the future at this stage.
Yeah, and the UFC is pretty mum on their opinion of all this. I think they're scared shitless if Cyborg can make the weight. They're probably going to want to see again a post-fight drug test from Cyborg, come back clean. They're going to want to see her compete and make weight at 135. There's still a long time here before we're going to be able to see Ronda against Cyborg, if ever. Yeah,
I mean, this is looking to be a long time in the making towards the future. I don't see it happening this year, possibly not even next year. But, I mean, they need to make this happen, because it's what people want to see. If they can make this happen, then that's going to be the biggest talked about female fight in MMA history.
That's the bottom line. And it's really the only fight that's left. I mean, who else do you put against Ronda Rousey at this point? Do you even have her fight anybody? I mean, it's becoming a joke. She's making a mockery of the rest of the division. You have these women fighting each other, jockeying for higher places within the rankings, but it really doesn't matter.
Well, that's it. She's beat Miesha Tate twice. She's now beat Cat Zingano as well. And these girls make other girls look lower level. So where does this sort of division, where's the middle line, where's the top? Ronda's just stepping over people like it's with ease, to be honest.
She's just soaring above every other competitor in her division, and there's just no competition left. She's just wiped the floor clean. I think they want to get Beth Carrera in there. She's beaten 2 or 3 of Ronda Rousey's teammates, but still, I mean, what's going to happen, right? It's pretty obvious. So that wraps up our recap of UFC 184. Before we leave, I'd like to open the mic for Joey Angelis from Tiger Muay Thai. Tiger Muay Thai is doing a fitness fundraiser for children with special needs in Thailand this weekend. Joey, introduce yourself to the crowd and let us know what's going on this weekend at Tiger Muay Thai.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Joey Angelis from Tiger Muay Thai, and I'm the one who does a lot of events, outdoor activities for the camp, and also fundraising activities, things that our guests can do out of the camp, whether it be just a social event or a fundraising event. And a little bit of the social media stuff as well, and the fitness.
Yeah, I've been around the camp quite a bit now since coming back here, and you seem to be quite a staple presence at the camp, and that you fulfill quite a lot of roles, rock a lot of different hats.
Yes.
That's good, though. It seems like everybody has a really solid appreciation of the work you contribute there. So why did Tiger Muay Thai choose to do this particular fundraiser? What is it about it that you guys decided to promote this and associate yourselves with it?
Yes, we've been doing a couple of fundraising activities with the fitness department. There was a 24-hour fitness challenge that we did before for the Tigers in Bangkok and then the provinces. And then that was pretty successful. And then we went through the 12-hour fitness challenges as well. Okay. But we wanted to do something a bit more regular, like every 2 months. I chose this organization because I have a sister with special needs. I have a sister with Down syndrome. So it was close to my heart. So
No, absolutely.
I
Okay.
talked to Will and said, hey, maybe we could do something for these kids. And yeah, he approved the idea. Yeah, it's a good activity because there's a lot of our guests that come here looking for schools to help, orphanages, and this is a good one. Their facilities run well by Somchai, and they do get a lot of support, but they haven't seen fitness instructors, or they love to see fitness stuff. And when we first did it, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what they can do.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to do fitness activities with them, and they loved it. Pad work, boxing, and a bit
That's
of
cool.
wrestling from the trainers.
No, I mean it must just be an exotic activity for them at that point, which is.
So we decided to come back and bring some pads and some boxing gloves for the kids.
So if people are in Phuket and want to be involved on Friday at Tiger Muay Thai, what does that consist of?
They just for Friday, they just need to rock up at 2:45 in the afternoon for the fitness challenge. It's for all levels. Okay. So we have 2 different levels for the challenge, and it's just one.
So to be part of that fundraiser, are people competing in it? Or do they
there's
donate?
A bit of competition, and then anyone can donate, even if you're not competing.
Okay.
So it's any amount is appreciated.
Okay, and then you guys just collect all that money and you bring it up to the kids the next day.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, well, with TrashTalkMMA.com, we're going to be supporting this as well. I'm going to actually, go partake in the fundraiser on Friday, and also take the journey up to the orphanage on Saturday and spend the evening there and come back Sunday. If you'd like to contribute, there is a donate button, a PayPal donate button on the front page of TrashTalkMMA.com in the top right corner. If you'd like to donate something for these kids, you can leave a little something there on PayPal. When you go to sign in for PayPal, there's a little purpose field. Just write charity in there, and we'll make sure that all this cash is taken up to the kids on the Saturday. Every little bit helps, guys. So be generous, help the cause, and contribute a little bit to some people that are a little less fortunate. Okay, guys, that's it for today's podcast. I'd like to thank Sam Bastin for coming out once again. He's becoming a regular on the show. It's great having him in here. I love having the fan and the fighter tandem thing going back and forth, the banter. Much appreciated, Sam. Joey, thanks for coming out and schooling everybody on the charity event taking place at Tiger Muay Thai this week. Trash Talk MMA. I'm your host, Antoine Pelche, signing off with Joey and Sam. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you for having us.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Trash Talk MMA podcast. Be sure to visit trashtalkmma.com.
On my face, behind my back, they talk trash.
And don't forget to follow Antoine on Twitter at Trash Talk MMA. Let us know you're listening. Use hashtag Trash Talk MMA.